welcome back to this. So what's going to happen this time is I'm going to develop this a little bit more, using as little theoretical knowledge as possible, if any, and we're going to see where it goes. On this session, I'm going to try and touch on orchestration a little bit more and the basics of orchestration. So what I'm going to do is move this patch, and I'm going to move it into my strings. That sounds a bit crazy at the minute, but what we're going to do is look at orchestration. So when we talk about orchestration, what we're talking about is splitting up different pieces, different parts of a piece of music, and giving it to instruments or multiple instruments, or groups or groupings that we think is going to sound good. So for example, if I take just a normal chord, so that's a beautiful D. The reason why that is so beautiful is because it's been separated between the orchestra. So if I take my D chord, I want this to be given to the low basses. So if I move lower down, it goes that. I want this to be given to the higher strings. Maybe I want to swap these around. So invert the chord. I want the bottom one to be given to the higher strings too, and this one to maybe the cellos. So all I've done there is orchestrate, and I've orchestrated in a string quartet. So if I then take this even further, put it in the wind, also going to put it into the brass. For the sake of it, let's just see what a choir sounds like too. Okay, so now we have this separated into all this stuff, which is all playing at once, which is not what we want. So in the strings, what do I want of the strings? Maybe in the full strings, I just want this note. So I just want the high string. Let's get rid of that. In the wind, I want this note. Let's listen to those two. Okay, so I've orchestrated there out of the string quartet, and I've given the wind one of the high notes, and I've given the string another high note. So that's what I've done there. This isn't fact. You don't have to give the strings and the winds the highs. You can do the opposite. It's up to you. I'm just giving you an example of orchestration by going through the notes. So in the brass, I want to give the brass that note. That's way too loud. And the reason why that's way too loud is because it goes to here. I want to make that a flute. Okay, now I've got a brass, and we've got a big choir in here too, which I don't want. I just want one note from the choir. Which note do I want? I want this here. So I've moved that up an octave. Now I've got the same chord again, except it's all orchestrated out. Let's change this up, see what it sounds like. So the high one, which is this note, I want to swap these round. So this is I'm going to colour these so we know what they are. That's the chord sounds in synesthesia, whatever it's called, synesthesia. So we've got the high notes, the higher colours, and then so on and so forth. This is the lowest note. This is the highest note. Let's give the highest note to the brass. So all I've done there is put the high note of the brass, of the strings, and given it to the brass, and the low note of the brass and given it to the strings. So we can see what that sounds like if I just duplicate it and do some more switcheroos. I'm going to give this to the wind. I'm going to give the wind to the brass. And let's see what that sounds like. So you can see now quite clearly in colours I've swapped those around. And that's orchestration. That's the very basics of orchestration. I'm just picking an instrument I like the sound of in that register. And by register, I mean the note. So I liked this being where it was, and this being where it was, and these, and this being where it was. And that is the very basics of orchestration. So let us take our string patch and orchestrate a little bit more. We'll start with the strings for now, and we'll work our way through it. So, because this is a full string patch, the lower I go, it'll change instrument. The higher I go, it will also change instrument. So, let's go through this. I want these to go an octave up. I also want this to go an octave up. So I like that, that's fine. I think maybe I want this to go an octave up. Yeah, I don't think I like the bass that low, so maybe I do like the bass that low. So I'm going to get rid of these low bass notes. They're a little bit ominous for me. And I'm going to keep these ones, I like them. Let's see what we can do. I want to move those 3 notes up. So let's just go over this real quickly. I moved these first patches up into the top. I can actually show you exactly what I did. If I make these red. Whoops. If I make these a little less colored. Let's have a look. Okay, so the red was the old one. The bluey greeny is the new one. It's definitely green. So you can see here, I just moved these up. I moved these up. I swapped these around and deleted the higher note because that's what I liked. I deleted all the low notes here because I didn't like it to go that low. I swapped these around. These 2 are now up here. I moved this one down. Moved that one up a note. Swapped this around a little bit to make it nicer because I like the sound of this in the strings. I like the sound of how this sounds in the strings, but I liked it how it sounded in the piano, so that's just that one. So that's what I've changed. So we're going to keep going. This is more into orchestration now. So we have our strings, and we like how our strings sound. Let's give these to other instruments, but I like this string patch as it is with all of them, so what I'm going to do is only give certain parts to other instruments. So if I go to, let's go to the full wind patch. Okay, let's do that instead. So this has gone to the flutes and clarinet. It's a legato patch, not a sus patch. So I liked this. I like this up here. Actually, I don't want this. I just want this. I don't think I'm going to use any of the low notes because they can't go that low anyway. So let's get rid of everything below a certain level. Let's say around there. Don't like that. Actually, I think I want this to be a legato patch because I want it all to be one part. I'm going to drag this on. Nice. Let's hear that in context. So we are orchestrating. This is what we're doing. So here's the flutes in red. and here's the strings in green. So what I'm going to do is take all the green notes that I think are going to clash with the flute, which is them. I like that. I want to move these up. Oh, but the strings are in there. I don't want the strings to go up. I just want the flutes. Let's see what they sound up there too. I think I want another note in there. So, I don't think I like that, but I can't be 100% sure. Let's just listen to it on its own. So I prefer that. Let's go back again. And I want this, I think, to go down. But not there. Let's go down to here. I like that. So, we've orchestrated there. We've taken most of the high notes and moved them into the flutes and clarinet. See what we've got. So I don't like that note, but I like the low, but I want the low to be higher. I think I want most of this to be low, so let's get rid of these, because I believe the flute has these. We can double check that if I click up here on the flute. Yeah, the flute's got these, so let's keep these out. So green is full strings, the original patch we had, well, the one we've slowly edited, and the new reddy brown ones are the brass. So we have taken out the brass notes here, and here, and here, and here. And then we've changed some stuff around here. We've now got a late start with the brass. And remember, I might not like this yet. I haven't heard it in context. It's just what I liked when I had the brass solo. So let's hear it in context. You have to remember as well, we are just orchestrating here. We aren't finishing the composition today. It's not going to be the end of it in the next 5 minutes. We are just orchestrating. We're seeing what we like and where we like it to sound. So I like that in the brass. That doesn't mean to say I like that on this brass patch. I might like it on this brass patch. Maybe I don't want it in the full brass at all, so let's take it out of there, and let's give it to this one instead. Or because it's low, maybe I want it in the tubas. Maybe I want it in the French horn and cello. I can't have it as legato because there's 2 notes playing at once, so... And because there's a cello in there, I could even delete Yeah, I could even delete those notes out of there, but I don't like that patch anyway, so let's take it back up to it's not a tuba. So I like that. Let's orchestrate within here. Maybe I want to add in some craziness here. Let's see what this sounds like. Nice. So there's some bits in there I still think need ironing out, and one way we can do that is adding in some dynamics. So let's quickly go over this stuff and see what we like. I have got a lesson on modulation and dynamics and things like that and how to use them. I'm going to quickly just use the mod wheel. So when I play a note, for example, I can use the mod wheel to give it more expression. So if I just go from no modulation to all modulation, I can add some expression. So I'm going to go through and add some expression. If I solo something, I can record over the top and add my expression. So I'm going to do that. Should be able to see me doing it here. I actually want to add in a low note here. I think. Yeah. I'm just going to take this low bass note. I'm going to go down to the low strings and add in low legato, the one note. I'm going to move it up. And I have that run in and out with modulation. So if I use my modulation here, you can see I've just mod wheel up and then down. And if I show you the full strings, this is what I did with the modulation through there. So I'm listing some more stuff here. I don't like this many strings. I actually feel like I need more here. Now I've modulated a little bit. So let's modulate this. Whoops, that's the wrong button. So you can see my modulation here. Let's modulate over this. With brass as well, I kind of like to give it a quick cut off, so it sounds like they're breathing. So like here, for example, there's like a breath in between. So that's one. Let's do the other. to start this. I move that. I want to start this quite loud. And I want to add, maybe an oboe. Let's add an oboe. Do I want that higher? I do. I don't need those notes. I don't think I want that bit at all. So I can just do a quick and dirty fade out of the modulation. I want to start this from the beginning. Let's see what happens if I just do that. Let's see what happens. Actually, I don't like these notes. So, what has this note? I've just highlighted everything here. And I'm going to find out what uses this note. Maybe I did like it, I just didn't like it starting like that. No, I like that. Okay, so remember, this is where theory might help, because you will be able to know and understand the problem based on your theoretical knowledge. Whereas this time we're actually just going to figure it out based on expressionism. Sometimes using theory in this situation can ground you in a specific thing, and you might not open up to other areas, depending on your theory knowledge and how well you know, how much and how well you know it. If you don't use any theory, it can take longer to get there, but you might end up getting somewhere that you might never have got using just the basics of keys and things. So that's why we do this, that's why we don't do this. There's reasons and excuses for both. This little dissonant chromatic upscale here is really throwing it off, but I like that. That's the point. I want to create that dissonance. It kind of adds suspense when the horns come in. So that's what I'm going for. Let's have a listen. There's a few notes in here that I'm not too happy with, but I do like how it creates dissonance, and I like in here in the middle how it's like a breath. Everything takes a minute. There's a good brass patch that I like. I really, really like the low end. And big open notes like that. So let's see if I just record over the top. Well, maybe I should use musical typing. And we'll see what we like here. So let's go again. I think I want something in here doing something else. So we have a low string patch going somewhere too. That just kind of fits in. So let's fix this bit over here that gets a little bit too crazy now. So that high note, I think it's this one. Well, there's some parts in there that are hit and miss. Some people might like them, some people might not. There's a few dissonant part and discordant areas, but I kind of like that stuff, so that's staying in. I can hear some bits where some theorists might be sat at home going, oh, you can't do that, it doesn't sound right. But if I like the sound of it, who are you to judge? And if this isn't being sold and it's just for me, who are you to judge? So, and the reason why I say if it isn't being sold, because you are right if it's good and you like it. However, if you are trying to sell your music and someone's wanting to buy it and they say they don't like it, they are right, you know? They aren't going to buy it because you say that you like it. So if they don't like discordant bits like that and they don't want them, then you don't do them. It's as simple as that. If you want your music to sell, simple as that. So, and obviously this is a little bit more complex than just playing something in key. Without theory, because obviously I could move all the notes into something that would be in key and sounds the most correct. Not that it is correct, it just sounds the most. So for example, if I just played a similar kind of thing in D, notes wrong there. I think you get the point. That's all in key. I'm not trying to break out of the key. If I wanted to break out of the key, I'd do something a little bit more chromatic. I think you get the point. I'm trying to make this a little bit more complex without intentionally using theory and not knowing much theory. I'm just trying to draw in some notes that I think sound good and then orchestrating and editing, modulating to try and make it sound something that I like. So if I go back to the original piece, let's hear that. I'm just going to change the patch to make that sound a bit nicer. And then we'll listen to everything that we've just done. So hopefully there you can see a little bit of orchestration and how you can not know a goddamn thing about anything and just be able to press some keys and make something stick. So yeah, we'll see where we can take this even further. We'll add some percussion, a couple of other things, and see what we can make it next with some even more advanced ideas and tips and tricks on orchestration. So thanks for that, and I'll probably see you in the next part. Goodbye.